Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 185 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor and Damon. What's up, guys?
It's getting close to 200. Feels like it, at least.
Yeah, we're almost
15 more episodes.
Yeah, feels like it's closer.
Yeah, we're creeping up there slowly, right? It's funny too because I look at some podcasts that like started after us and they're on like episode like 400, and I'm like, how? Like, how do you do that?
No one's listening to that much of us, though. That's too much. That's too much. Welcome home.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I agree.
And also think of it this way, if they're doing 20-minute episodes multiple times a week, there'll be more episodes. But, 185 episodes at, on average an hour and a half. That's
well, yeah. Well, plus the first couple of years we did this, we did every other week. So, we were only doing
the good old days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were only doing 26 episodes a year, right?
We missed out on too much news that way, unfortunately.
We did, and then it ended up being too bloated when we went to go and do like the episode. Like there was just too much to talk about, So I think this is better format.
People always ask me all the time, though, how do you talk about Disney every week? I'm like, dude, there's way more stuff than you think. Like there's a lot to talk about every week, but they're like, but there's no new rides. Like, yeah, but there's still a lot to talk about.
It's not just rides.
Yeah. I just had this conversation with friends. I had dinner with friends last week and we were talking about the podcast, and there's the same thing. There's like that much to talk about every week. And I'm like, listen, there's like a reason why there's like 100 Disney podcasts, because there's a lot to talk about. It's not just like a simple, straightforward topic, right? Like, and some shows do like the shows that are like evergreen, where you can listen to it anytime because they're topic based or whatever. But like you run out of topics eventually, right? Like you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, like this is why we've always kind of talked about things that are going on now, as opposed to how to plan your first Disney vacation. Like that's great and all for a lot of people. It's just not what we want to do. So
no. So I'm going to be at Disney next weekend, so I won't be on the show.
Wait, you're going to be on the show? Wait, what? Oh, you're not going to be on the show?
Yeah, I'm not going to be on the show.
I thought you just said, so I'm going to be on the show. It's like, you are?
Absolutely not. No, I am not. Hey, listen, if there was a phone app, I probably would be. But Tom won't pony up for some sort of phone app recording software. So here we are.
Well, hold on a sec. It's not that I won't pony up. It's that it doesn't exist. It's like, this is a problem in the podcasting industry.
No, I think it exists now. We would just have to move, I think.
I've looked around at different podcast recording solutions, and there's not a lot of options. Like we could do a Zoom call, and you could call into that, I guess. But like that's going to be terrible quality, right?
Like I said, you could do like Zoom or Teams to do that, but it's not what we want to do.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want bad quality. I'd rather have no you than bad quality you.
Yeah.
That's important. So anyway, go ahead, talk more.
Yeah, so I think we decided to do what, I don't know, somebody suggested just do a Disney Springs hotel the day before. So that's what we're doing. And actually, there wasn't a lot. It was either going to be like we spent $200 or we spent $700. There was not anything really in between. So we opted for the $200. I think we're at the DoubleTree, I feel like.
So wait, you're going a day earlier now? You're driving
down
a day
it didn't. Yeah. The thing is, we're not doing anything, but because it's a 8.5 that turns into 10-hour drive, am I going to get up Saturday morning at 6:00, get to the parks at probably 6:00 again? No, I don't want to do that.
I get that.
Right. That's too much effort, especially since I have tickets all day. So it was like, all right, well, figure what the tickets for the day, 5 people are probably $500 worth of tickets versus a $200 room. So we did the $200 room. So we'll be there the night before. The next day, we're going to go to Epcot. I think it's Epcot Hollywood Studios. I think that's what we're doing.
Yeah, listen, I get that because like I prefer to have a travel only day and to like start fresh the next day and have like a full park day. Like that's that's an ideal situation. I think
I don't envision us going to the parks early because again, I'm not getting stuck in any sort of big rope drop line. And, our goal is 4 rides. That's it. I don't actually care if I get on anything else except 4 rides because we are doing Moonlight Magic at the water parks, which is great. So, I don't even care actually if we get on all 4 of the rides, to be honest with you. Like, if I don't get on Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't really care. So it will be fine. We're going to take it super slow. It's going to be a totally different type of vacation for us. And I think that will be the interesting part, right? I've never not gotten up for park openings ever. So
Wow.
we're going to see how this flips, and we might try to stay later with being able to sleep in, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
go ahead.
you're right. It is totally a different pace and a different feel to the trip. Like this is how we do our trips, and yeah, because we don't. For us, it's even earlier to get up for rope drop. So I think you'll find that going later into the evening is far more tolerable.
And no dining reservations. Nothing.
Yeah,
not a single one.
Yeah, I actually like that. I mean, the past couple short trips my wife and I have done, we haven't done dining reservations at all.
I want to keep this trip as inexpensive as possible because tickets were paid for 3 years ago, DVC points. So that's kind of our plan here. So I have to leave early because I have to do a lot of stuff before we get ready on this trip. I'm going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to go through it all, and then you can hear what Tom and Trevor have to say. How's that?
Oh, wait, you're going to go through the whole,
I'm going
down?
through the whole show. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, do it.
Right. So it's like a preview of the show, but in my format.
But really quickly, are you meeting up with listeners during this trip? I've seen you communicate.
I think Charles is going.
Yeah.
I don't know if Becky will be there. I'm not sure. I'm playing it so low key that, if people are there, that's cool. Right. And if they're not, that's cool. Right. It's just, listen, no disrespect. I'm not going out of my way, but if people are there, I'll say what's up. But I think Charles I'll see because we have pretty much the same itinerary. He'll be there when I'm there. So I think we'll see Charles a few times, I'm sure.
It seemed like Becky was going to be there too. And I'm sure there's other listeners that will be.
Yeah, probably Epcot. The other thing is that we're also next. So when this show comes out, we'll be planning our June trip for the next year. That's that one where we're doing all 3 bedrooms with another family. So we're going to plan that one. So I'll have a lot to talk about there. So, all right, I'm going through listener questions. I'm going to keep them at a very high level though. So Francisco's is kind of cool, right? Move resale points to Value Resort, but add 10 years. Nope, not doing it. Travel back in time to Disney parks, River Country, split stay with children, doesn't matter, sure. Favorite park merchandise, don't have any. That makes you smile. Let's see, keep up the banter. Oh, yeah, see, this one actually was interesting, and I wish I could have gotten into this more because my mom had the same problem. So they're saying your Disney Plus login is tied to DVC account. It is and it isn't. My mom was telling me that she couldn't log in after she changed, we couldn't log into Disney Plus after she changed her DVC account. But then I was able to set them both separately and log into both of them separately, but I believe her as well. So having someone else that has the same issue is kind of interesting. And then they're going to do the ad. And let's see. D23 stuff, don't care.
Reminds me when we used to do the rapid fire stuff,
Don't care.
It's a slow news week. What about the BoardWalk Deli menu though?
I'm not even there yet. Let me get there. Hold on.
Okay.
Concept art for Journey of Water Attraction. I'm a water guy, right? So this is super cool to me. Yeah. I'm so excited for this. BoardWalk Deli menu. Dude, there's not a full menu though. That's the problem.
There's just some pictures. Yeah.
And there's it's a pseudo menu. So there's a muffaletta, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But it's a veggie one. And I'm hopeful that there's also a non-veggie one. And the egg sandwiches, I don't see Taylor ham. I hope there is a Taylor ham.
I don't.
But outside of that, it looks okay. But even the veggie muffaletta is tough because it doesn't look very packed. But again, it's veggie, so I can't really tell. I don't like cannolis, which is crazy.
I love a cannoli, especially filled to order. Filled to order, that's
super
amazing.
Italian. Just don't love cannolis though.
They got some crumb cake though. They got some.
Nope, I hate crumb cake too.
What?
So the cream puff though is where I would say I'm definitely on for a cream puff.
Yeah, they don't.
Dude, the show is short today. That's it. Folks.
We have very few topics today. It is a slow news week.
Well, welcome to summer, folks. This is what it is.
Well, until D23.
That's what I think it is. I think they're holding all the big stuff till D23 since it's so close now. So we're gonna have some small stuff here and there for the next 6 weeks, and then all the big stuff.
Yes, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, man.
All right, man.
Yeah, have fun on your trip. Enjoy. Yep. Hopefully, you post some stuff on Facebook. I'm excited for you to go on some of these rides, even though I know you're not excited for really any of them. But at least for for Mickey and Minnie's and Rise of the Resistance, I think you're both.
Yeah, it's going to come down to like, I mean, I guess the other thing is like, are they on Genie Plus? I know nothing about Genie Plus. I'm going to have to like that drive down. I'm going to inundate myself.
Yeah.
Are they on Genie Plus or no?
Yeah.
Although so the only thing not on Genie Plus is what? Guardians, right?
Rise and Guardians are both Lightning Lane, I thought.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. So for the other ones, I guess with Genie Plus those days, probably on the Genie, and you can Genie Plus, you can buy that in the morning, right?
Yeah. You can buy that in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll probably buy it one day at Epcot, one day at Hollywood Studios, and maybe Lightning Lane, Rise, and Guardians is my guess.
That makes sense.
Well,
I'm trying to look
because
they temporarily moved some to Genie Plus, and it was till sometime in August, but I don't remember when. So, now, but it was. I think Rise of the Resistance is still like a individual purchase one, and then
wait, is it virtual queue or individual purchase?
Yeah,
no, it's standby now. It's standby. There's no more virtual queue for that. Yeah,
really? I thought that they were still doing virtual queue for that.
Only if it gets super busy, they do it. Yeah.
So it's standby or Lightning Lane. That's it. That seems goofy.
Pretty much, yeah. But the standby is not that bad. I mean, you're not rope dropping, but
I'm not rope dropping. Like, dude, I may not even be on Rise then. Like, I have no interest to. I'll pay for Guardians. I feel like, but I'm not paying for Rise, and I'm not standbying a lot. There's no way. No way.
Well, so until August 7th,
which right? I'll be there. I'll be there the 6th.
Yeah. So until August 7th, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is part of regular Genie Plus and not an individual. But Rise of the Resistance is the only one in Hollywood Studios that's an individual purchase one. So
okay, so Rise is really only standby or purchase?
Yeah, standby or purchase, yeah.
Okay, and Mickey and Minnie's will be the same when I'm there.
Until October. Well, yeah.
What does until mean though?
Until so you're saying is it inclusive of August 7th? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Go, Trevor.
Yeah, I would assume it'll change August 7th. So
that's the day that we'll be there. So
you know what though? Truthfully, like we got in line for Mickey Minnie's at one point, and it wasn't. We waited like a half hour for it. Like you can get online at a decent time.
Fine. But again, like this trip, I am definitely if there's anything that's over an hour, I'm out. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts because my kid's going to school. After that, I'm not trying to get COVIDed up. So any ride line, I'm masking up. Outside of ride lines, I probably won't. But if I'm on a ride line, I'm just not having those discussions with people being too close. Like I just don't even want to get into. I'm just going to mask up. The kids are going to mask up. They're going to be miserable. So we'll be miserable for an hour, but I'm not trying to mask up for more than an hour on a line. That's just not happening.
I think you're really going to want to consider the evening stuff for a lot of this because that's
what I'm going to shoot for.
Yeah, wait till like close to park close, and then a lot of these things will open up.
That's what my friend always said. Like they always go and like shut it down, and they're always like, "Dude, if you shut it down, like you can get on anything you want."
That's totally true. Yeah. that's totally true. Yeah,
and my kids are up all the time late, so there's like, why not just do that? Like even my daughter's 12 now. What time did you go to bed last night? We were playing ping pong till like 1. So I'm the only problem. So I will just knuckle up for this trip.
Yeah. So listen, though, like if I were you, I mean, you can do virtual queue for free for Guardians. It's just Rise of the Resistance that you either need to pay for or go in the standby line. So I mean,
I think what we'll do is we'll go to both parks the first days, like. The first, because we're literally doing Epcot Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
So I think the Epcot Hollywood, the first 2 days, I won't pay for anything, and I'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
And then if I need to pay, then I'll pay the next 2 days. Is kind of what my plan is.
That makes sense. That's a good plan.
Feel it out, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Because again, if I got on none of those 4 rides, like it is what it is. Like I'm going again in June, like next year. Like I don't care that much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the people that we're going with in June, I'm sure that they're listening. And this is not a knock, but my feeling is that you're going to be people that want to do everything. So if this trip is nothing and that trip is everything, that's okay too.
All right, nice.
So, all right, fellas, good show.
Right.
Good show.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoy your trip. Safe travels.
Yep.
We hope you have a good time.
All right.
Later, Damon.
All right.
Okay.
Let's
Shall we
start
get
the
into
show
this
over
proper?
again. Let's rewind it back to where we in the beginning here. Okay, so
listener questions. Let's I guess just jump into it. Francisco says, if Disney moved all resale points to value resorts only, but added 10 years to existing contracts, would you keep the resale contracts you currently have, sell, or purchase more? If you were to keep, which resort would you select as your new home resort?
So this is only resale contracts, he's saying. So, right? So if you have a direct contract, you're still staying at the deluxe resorts. If you have a resale, now you're value resort only.
Okay.
I wouldn't take that deal, but I mean, if it was a choice, but if they forced me to do it, I'd probably sell my resale contracts and then buy some more direct contracts. I feel like that's the allure of DVC, right? Is staying at these deluxe accommodations. It's no offense to the value resorts. I mean, before we bought DVC, we only stayed in value resorts and they were fine. You know, like you're not in your room most of the time anyway. Yeah, because you were paying for it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah, I guess thinking about my situation is, I have basically half of my points in resale and half direct purchase. So if I suddenly lost half of my points direct, or not lost, but couldn't use them at the Polynesian, that makes it a lot harder because, the way we travel, I'm basically staying at the Polynesian once every 2 years. Yeah. But I guess it also works the same way that, it may end up being that I'm alternating between staying at a value resort and then staying at the Polynesian once every other year. So I guess I could keep it. I wouldn't say I would sell it right away. I think I would try and, I would feel it out and see how it's working. And if I found that it wasn't working for how we were doing trips, then I would get rid of it and probably look at some more direct points so that I could keep doing what I want to do. If though I was to keep that one, I think the resort I would pick would be Art of Animation for Value Resort. And that's entirely because that's the only one with Skyliner.
Fair. I feel like I would be, I think it's not the only one, right? Because it's Art of Animation and
Caribbean's a moderate though.
No. I'm not thinking of Caribbean. It's why am I blanking on the name of the resort?
Pop Century?
Yeah, Pop Century has access too.
Oh, so, but it's all like the same.
It's the same area. Yeah.
But the actual Skyliner connector is at Art of Animation though, right?
I think it's like in between the two. Like it's like in the middle of that lake that kind of separates them, right? So, yeah. I mean, I think you could do either one.
I'd still pick Art of Animation because I would still knowing the two resorts, I would like that one better than Pop Century.
Yeah, honestly, I think I would be more okay with this if it was like a moderate conversation because there's a couple moderate resorts that are not all that far off from deluxe, right? Like I haven't stayed in the tower over at Coronado, but I've heard it's basically a deluxe resort, right? Like, so I'd be kind of okay with doing a moderate. I mean, I've also always wanted to stay at like Port Orleans. I've never stayed there and always wanted to. It's like one of the few that's, on my list that I never have gotten to do. But I mean, I think going value is too low, and even because like the years don't matter that much to me, right? It's a 50-year contract. I'm, who knows if I'm even going to live long enough for the 50 years that I have the contract for. You know what I mean? Like,
that's kind of the thing is, saying, oh, you get 10 more years. Well, I mean, when we're that far along, is 10 years going to matter that much? I think you make it more appealing if you say, instead of adding years, that you cut the dues in half, right? Like, let's say you cut the dues in half. Then I'm maybe on board, right? Maybe. But probably not. Yeah, I would agree with that. It's that's the thing is, I didn't even think about that part is, that all factors into, would it work for me or not? If the dues were close to what I'm paying now, but I'm paying for a value resort, I would, I would really be rethinking it because honestly, for the amount of dues that I pay, it does equate to the same as staying at a value resort.
Exactly.
So
exactly. That's exactly right. So That's kind of my feeling on this too. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting conversation though. Don't get me wrong. I like it as a conversation. But obviously this is not something that could happen because, there's all sorts of legal things that are involved there. And I just don't see that happening. But it is an interesting idea. So
yeah,
let me see here. Yeah. So I just pulled out the map just to confirm, because I don't like to say wrong things on the show. Yeah. So the Skyliner station sits on the lake in between Art of Animation and Pop Century. So,
okay.
Well, originally, Art of Animation was supposed to be an extension of Pop Century. It was supposed to be a decades resort, right? So, or supposed to be part of the Legendary Years section. So that's what it was.
Okay.
It was some like the early decades.
Yeah. Anyway, it's this is I can't imagine Disney would ever pull something like this on us to say, sorry, value people, get out. But yeah, it's
an interesting
like I said, it is interesting, and it really comes down to and we've had this conversation before. Is I'm thinking about it from what works for me right now, and even in 5 years, I think if we had the same conversation, I might think totally different about it.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? Like,
yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah, no, I get that. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. We got Vicky says, if you could travel back in time in Disney parks, where and when would it be? Mine would be Disneyland on a weekday, October 1995. Nearly all walk-on rides, great spooky weather, decent price food at Casa Mexicana, RIP, and Big Thunder Ranch Barbecue, RIP as well.
Yeah, I feel you there, Vicky. Okay, where would I go to? Actually,
I want to go.
Go first, Tom.
I want to go back to the days of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea at Magic Kingdom. That's where I want to go back to. I want to go back to both of those things and ride both of those things. That's probably where I would go back to.
Okay. I think, like Vicky, I would go back to Disneyland, but I wouldn't go to October 1995. I'd probably actually go closer to like 1989 kind of area. I'm thinking back because we did a trip there in March of 1989, and it was like, Splash Mountain was still fairly new. I believe
they've Star Tours at that point, or that the Star Tours wasn't until later, right?
No, Star Tours was a little bit later than that, but the thing was and I may be mixing this up with because I took 2 trips in the 80s, and obviously I was pretty young for both of them, but I think the People Mover was still open, and I think, or no, the Skyliner in Disneyland was not open.
Okay,
but yeah, but that's where I would like to go back to, is like that 80s kind of feel where, there was still a lot of those older attractions that unfortunately Disneyland has not seen for decades now. So
Star Tours was 87 at Disneyland.
Okay. So all right. Yeah. Then I guess we did do it in 89.
You also had an 86 Captain EO was open at that point too. I don't know if it was continued into 89, but
oh yeah, it was there. I remember seeing Captain EO.
It was the late 90s. Yeah, late 90s. I actually saw Captain EO at Disney World in the early 2000s because it played in Disney World for a little while at Epcot.
Yeah, the Imagination Pavilion, right?
Yeah. That theater that's right there that just kind of has a rotating group of stuff, and
it wasn't it the same theater where they had Honey, I Shrunk the Audience at one point?
Yes. Yeah,
right.
I'm pretty sure you're right about that. Yeah. That theater's had a lot of different stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like, listen, I still to this day, think Captain EO is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, but it is enjoyable. Good.
It follows. It's Jim Henson is what it is.
Yeah.
Like it's the same realm of like everything. Dark Crystal, Never Ending Story, Labyrinth. Like to me, it was just all in line with that kind of stuff. And And I mean, the fact, Michael Jackson was insanely big at that point.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
It was just like, okay, like this is normal. This is fine.
Well, but I think it's Michael Jackson's the weird part of it, right? Like the rest of it is not weird to me, right? Like the Muppet pieces are fine. Like it's that Michael Jackson saves the universe with his dancing. Like it's just
see
weird.
that I never questioned that.
You never. But why? I mean, it's just weird.
Probably because I watched Moonwalker.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. It's just a weird thing to see at a Disney park. All right, that's all I'm saying. Like, but
well, yeah, in my headcanon, it all made sense because it all played together into that era. Like I said, I remember watching Moonwalker. That was like a compilation of a bunch of videos for Michael Jackson stuff with some narrative in between and stuff, and yeah, it just, I feel like it was just, everything was all tied together, even though now that you're pointing it out, you're right. It wasn't, it was just very much like here's a random like short story based on, the shit from Alien, but Michael Jackson's dancing. Right.
Yeah, it's just weird. Even like the villain in it is just weird too. The whole thing is, and like the end of it just turns into a music video. Basically, it's just
yeah.
strange,
Well, I mean, it had to.
Contrast.
I mean, it had to. It absolutely had to. But
yeah. But by the way, I did confirm Honey, I Shrunk the Audience was in that theater beforehand. So yes, it was.
Yeah.
Before Captain EO. Captain EO replaced them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I vividly came back temporarily.
That. Yeah, I vividly remember Honey, I Shrunk the Audience from when I was a kid. Like, I really remember that show.
I remember it, too, because I saw it in 2003 when I was on my honeymoon. And yeah. It was one of those, it reminded me of, like, Tough to Be a Bug. Like,
yeah.
It had some similar, like, 4D effects going on in the theater.
Yeah, I see it more as like Philhar Magic at this point, right? It's like that same kind of, it's 3D, they spray water at you, they spray air at you, like that kind of deal.
Well, there was also the mice moving under the seats.
Yeah, there's that too, yeah. Although that theater too is fairly unique in that the floor can move, like the floor can like bounce and stuff, which is stuff that they, which they actually will use for some of the shorts that they have in there. It's a theater that like shakes and rocks and does all sorts of weird stuff. So yeah, I mean, I haven't been in that theater in a little while though. I think right now there's like shorts in there, I want to say, but I could be wrong.
I realize I don't even go over there anymore because we usually just go like what we did when we went in May. It was like we go on Figment and then we usually leave that building right away, or we go up to the lounge. So it's like, I never like, I always seem to forget that there is a theater like right there.
Right there. Yeah. It is kind of just over there by itself. It is easy to kind of walk past it, but
yeah,
I'm sure there's some people that are big fans of that theater and what's in there. I mean, last time I remember there were Pixar shorts in there, but I don't know if that's what's in there right now. I'm blanking on what's in there right now, or if there's even anything in there right now.
Yeah.
Anyway,
let's keep going. So Francisco's next question for us is split stays with young children, yay or nay? I don't know how to answer this one because I've never done split stays with young children. I did a split stay with my son when he was like 9. It seemed okay, but I guess, with younger children, you have to pack everything up. It's a lot more production to move, I guess. So, I guess for myself, I never would have done that. So I would say a nay, but
yeah,
I don't have enough experience with it to say if it's easy or not.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I probably, and I mean, as a father of a 4-year-old, I guess I'm qualified to answer this question.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess I don't think it would be that big of a deal if I was doing just one change, like in the middle of a long vacation. especially like if I had a break day. Oh, this reminds me, by the way, I'm going to bring this up right now, even though this is not what we're talking about at all. So my daughter, we watch, I think I've talked about this before, right? Like we've watched, YouTube videos of like of fireworks and parades and some of the Disney rides and stuff like that, right? And I just kind of let it play to whatever the next video was. And the next video was of a vlogger doing a tour of the Peppa Pig land over at Legoland. And now my daughter wants to go to Peppa Pig land, right?
Oh, no.
I know. Trust me, right? So, I kind of looked at my wife and I was like, we have a couple days off during this vacation. Like we have some planned days off that we were just going to pool day, but you can only stay in the pool for so long, right? And watching this video is like, okay, there's like 4 rides here and the rest is just kind of like shows and just like, interactive stuff. Like we could probably do it in an afternoon and we're going to have a car so we could just drive over there, So now I think we're going to go to Peppa Pig land as part of our vacation, which is fine. I mean, whatever. But I mean, it's not something I was expecting on doing.
Yeah, I'll admit. So I have a younger niece, so I'm aware of Peppa Pig.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of glad I missed that.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
the little bits that I've watched, I'm kind of like, okay, this is
By the standards of some of the things she watches, it's not the worst. Right. Like, I rank like some of the different kids shows she watches. Some are like, I enjoy to watch with her. There are some that are tolerable and there are some that I can't deal with anymore. Right. So like the can't deal with category is like, I don't know if you heard of Coco Melon, but Coco Melon's a big thing.
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Can't do Coco Melon. Hate it with a passion. Tired of it. Like Paw Patrol, I'm just kind of okay with. Like she can watch Paw Patrol. Peppa Pig is in the tolerable category. Right. Like I'm okay with it. It's fine. Now, like the land, like the little park that they have looks like, it looks cute, and it's $35 a ticket, which isn't cheap, but it's not expensive either. And it's they're only open from like 9 to 5 every day though, so like it's we kind of have a small window to be able to go do it, but I can't imagine it's going to take that long to go through the whole thing. So, and it's like it's completely separate from Legoland. It's its own like park basically. So anyway, that's the thing that I'm going to be doing now.
Yeah, I think it's too bad. Just speaking of kid shows that, in the realm of tolerable or ones that I'll watch with my kid. When my kid was younger, it was Yo Gabba Gabba and Imagination Movers those were good shows. If you can find those for your daughter, I mean, if they were on, I was like, yeah, this is cool. Like I can get on board with this. But
well, what I tried to play for her yesterday was Fraggle Rock, the new Fraggle Rock, and she would not have.
We tried the new and the original one, and my son was just not into it. Yeah. Like I feel it's very like, it's a nostalgia thing for us, but he was just like, I don't know what this is and I don't want to watch it. So
that's kind of how she was too. I was like, but it's Muppets, and she's like, no. I was like, just try. It's Muppets. Look. But
we had different, like, Muppets are still a thing, but like in the 80s it was different. Like
sure.
They were a lot more popular.
Yeah, so I agree. But anyway, so let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, well, I never answered this question. So split stay, right? I'd be okay with it. I think it depends on how many kids you have, right? And like your situation. Like I think part of what's going to make my upcoming vacation a lot easier is that we're going to always have people with us, right? So like we're always going to have grandparents there too. So like that kind of takes like some of the pressure off too, because you have extra help.
The adult to child ratio needs to be high enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that makes things a little bit easier. You know what I mean? You're not as stressed like trying to pack everything up and like deal with the kid at the same time, or like if you have a longer trip too, where you have like some down days in between, like that's not a big deal then. Like if you have a down day, like, and that's right when your split stay is, heck yeah, I'll do that. That's no problem. Like but I don't know. I think it just depends on everybody's individual situation.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Let's Let's see if we can answer Julie's question here. What's your favorite park merchandise that makes you smile when you see it, use it, or wear it?
That's a tough question. The merchandise is not so. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough question because the merchandise is constantly changing. It's like,
well, I think for me, I think specifically I have a Chewbacca mug that I use every day. And like I drink tea for work every day, and I use that mug. And
yeah, sure.
It's not like I'm not like fawning over it every time I see it, but it's just like, yeah, I'm happy to use it, and I'm just like I'll just look at it. I'm like, yeah, I like this mug. Like it's
yeah,
that's as far as it goes. So
yeah, no, I agree. For me, it's funny. I didn't really have a good answer to this, and then I thought to myself, wait a second, this just happened to me the other day because I was in the airport. I just had flown back from a work trip. And I saw a family, and there were two kids just wearing the classic like Mickey ears on, just like in the airport, and that just made me smile. Like that just was like, oh, that's cool. They're either coming back or they're going, which I think they were coming back because when did I see them? I think I saw them at baggage claim, so I think they just got back. But yeah, I don't know, man. That it's just like, I know it's just a kind of a lame answer, but I don't know. I thought it was that always kind of makes me smile.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I get what you mean. When you know that somebody's just like either they're on their way or they've just come back from a trip, and you see, Mickey ears are a pretty obvious sign of that happening. Yeah, exactly. I can see that. Yeah.
By the way, speaking of mugs, did you see this Country Bear Jamboree Big Al mug that came out?
No.
I didn't put this on the rundown, but first of all, it's a $50 mug, but it looks huge. Like,
well, the Chewbacca one I have is huge too.
Big.
So
yeah.
I
mean, it also, this is very detailed. I just sent you the link in the chat, but it's
all right.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen this, just Google Big Al Disney mug, and it'll come right up. It's pretty.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty great. It's pretty detailed. Although I don't really know how there's no like handle on it really. I guess you just pick it up like you'd have to two-hand it.
No, not with.
It comes with a little hat too.
Like,
it's got a little hat for some reason.
Is that really a mug? Like
it says it's a mug. I guess you take the hat off and there's an opening in there. This picture doesn't show the inside, but
yeah, that looks more like a cookie jar than a mug.
Yeah, that's what it says.
I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, it's small enough to be a mug, but like, are you holding it by his ear or like,
that's what I'm saying. You got to two-hand this thing. It's way too big. So
yeah, that's not a mug.
That's not a mug. You've officially ruled that's not a mug.
Yeah, it could be a cup, but it's not a mug. Yeah. I don't believe that's a mug.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, so let's answer Chris's email here.
Yeah.
So Chris emailed us and said, "Hi guys, great show. I do like the banter. Keep it coming. So I have this issue. I have a Disney Plus account, and Disney found it to be a great idea to set up all the Disney accounts to a single login, DVC, Disney Plus, Disney Experience, etc. It sounds great, but my daughter was away with her grandparents for a few weeks this summer and asked for my Disney Plus login. I now had to give her my single sign-on DVC password, so technically she can log into my DVC account and cause harm. Now Disney Plus does support profiles in Disney Plus, but they all use the same login. Have you had this issue, found a way to resolve it?" So this issue has come up because, I mean, I don't know if we're allowed to admit that we password share with other people, but,
I won't say anything.
Yeah, whatever. But if you were to password share, I think the best thing you could do is use a different email address or create another email address and use that as your email address for Disney Plus and keep it totally separate.
Yeah.
That would, or for DVC, either, whatever. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of because I don't believe they allow you to have different passwords. The thing is, I do like the idea of having one password for all of the Disney things, right? Like, I feel like it would be because Disney has so many things you can log into now that I feel like I would have a problem if I have this problem at work. Like every system I have to have a different password for, and you just, you lose track of stuff. Like I like the idea of one login for all of the Disney stuff. It's just an overall Disney account. But I see why this is a problem though too. And it would be nice if they had a feature where you could say, for just Disney Plus, this is my password. But they probably also won't do that too because they don't really want your password sharing. So
yeah, I think on the whole single sign-on thing, I think with that, multi-factor authentication needs to be a thing if they're going to do that, because you need to be able to, if you're signing on to so many different things with a single password, it needs to be protected. And this is what Chris is saying is, if you give out, or if the password gets given out or compromised for one thing, like
they can get into their DVC. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it leads to a bigger problem. So what I think, and I've seen other services do this. So like Spotify does this, where you have a family network, and it would be nice if Disney offered something similar, where it's like for Disney Plus, you can have a group of people that you all designate as, these like not just the profiles, but, these people or, these accounts all have access to the same Disney Plus. To that end, to solve this particular issue that Chris is talking about, I think you can go back into your Disney Plus and you can change the email address, and then you can change the password individually. So then, like you were saying, Tom, you keep Disney Plus separate from the rest of it. And I believe, that's actually what we did. Was we set up or the way I do it is you can do this trick with Google, or specifically with Google accounts, where if you add, so like you have your actual Gmail address, but if you do like your name and then the plus sign, and then you can put something else behind it at gmail.com, that's treated as, like for another site, it's treated as a unique email address. But from Gmail standpoint, it all goes to the same email account. So like I've set up different things like PayPal and Disney Plus and stuff, and I use like my username plus, and then I put a separate phrase after it at gmail.com. And so I know so like the emails coming in all come to my main email box, but I technically have, or the services see them as separate accounts. And that's what we did for Disney Plus was because my wife and I, same thing. We use ours, and, we could password share, and that's fine. But my son has access to it as well. And we've had the same kind of thing come up where it's like, I don't want to give him my Disney account. So
exactly. Yeah.
So I specifically went in and I configured it as a separate, or it's a separate login, or it's that specific login with a separate password. And then that way, if anything does happen, I can cut it off easier than, completely turning my Disney stuff upside down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I think that's your best option, I think. Until they make some changes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what you can do for now until they figure something out with profiles or, multiple accounts.
Yeah. Yeah. I seem to remember them saying they were working on 2-factor authentication, but I feel like that was a long time ago. And they do have the thing when you log into your account, it does send you an email, but that's not 2-factor authentication. But
they need proper, like it. Yeah. It shouldn't be that hard to set up 2-factor authentication at this point, but it's a matter of them implementing it on the back end, which I get. Disney's IT is not the best, and we all know that. So
yeah. All right. Do you want to go ahead and do our ad?
Yeah. This week, our sponsor is Monera. So Monera, a World of DVC company, is the industry leader for financing DVC resale contracts. Monera offers lending with the longest terms available at 12 years, the option of no credit check, instant approval, low down payments, and no prepayment penalties. If you're thinking of purchasing a DVC contract on the resale market, go check out their quick online quote first. You may be surprised just how affordable joining DVC can be. Go to monerafinancial.com or call 317-245-8800. And when you speak to them, be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you.
All right. We don't have a ton of news this week. It's like we said earlier, it's very much a slow news week. And I think they're saving a lot of stuff for D23.
Yeah.
Like
What we have here is the announcement of the announcement.
Yeah, the announcement that there's going to be announcements.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they just announced that Disney Parks Experiences products, what their plans are for D23. So I think the big one is going to be with Josh Giamaro at September 11th at 10:30 a.m. Now that's 10:30 a.m. I'm assuming it doesn't say Pacific time, but I'm assuming it is because it's in California.
It'll be Pacific because this is all happening in the Anaheim Convention Center. So
yeah, I'm assuming that they mean that's what my guess would be. So but they said presents in his presentation is called The Boundless Future Disney Parks Experiences Products. And it just says see it here first moments and special surprises. Okay, whatever that means. They also, mentioned behind the scenes glimpses at Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Transformation of Epcot, new Frozen themed experiences, and then Disney Cruise Line, live entertainment, and more at the pavilion. So, that's going to be at the pavilion. But listen, it's funny because I remember like 2 or 3 years ago, there was like right when Disney Plus came out, there was one of the groups on Facebook was like spreading the rumor that Disney was going to announce a new park, and then they didn't, and they were like, oh well, they must have pulled back on it like last minute or something like that. You know what I mean? Like people get their hopes way too high for these things, right? Like I do think that they'll probably announce some future stuff. I don't think it's going to be a new park. I just don't think that's happening, and I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon. So,
well, but I thought. So you're talking a new park in Florida, though?
Yeah, Disney
right?
World. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe Disneyland. Sorry, maybe Disneyland. Yeah.
So remember we had talked a while ago. There was that webpage that came up talking about the future of Disneyland and basically expanding the park beyond or around where the hotels sit right now, which are technically like on the outside of downtown Disney.
Yeah.
The concept art from that looks like. That does look like a whole new park, or somehow maybe combining Disneyland and California Adventure together into one giant park. Like the thing is that's a little bit different because it's not like, oh, we're going to go somewhere else and build another gate and this is a new park. It looks like it's all being layered on top of what's already there. So I mean, I think I get the feeling that this is going to be talking more about that because I feel there's a roadmap for that and we haven't heard about it in a while. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is more of a focus on expanding Disneyland right now.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, one other thing. Sorry. So you mentioned the panel on September 11th at 10:30. D23 actually runs from September 9th to September 11th. So there will be, they will have the convention center. There will be the booths and everything. This is just the panel where they're talking about, like the future stuff. You're going to see a whole bunch of news and information come out from what's available from the 9th to the 11th on the show floor and everything. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. And I mean, like, as far as Disney park stuff goes, like the 10th, the 9th and the 10th, they're doing a panel on the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, which is cool. Which is, very, very cool Disney lore right there. But then they're also doing like a peek behind the curtain at Walt Disney Imagineering Illusions and Special Effects Development Lab. That sounds like it would be cool. And then they have a Marty Sklar thing. And then they have some like behind the scenes on the Disney Wish. Obviously, the big thing here, though, is going to be the panel going through like, everything with the new stuff at the parks. Right. So like, or updates on what's already there. I mean, I really don't think we have any idea what's going to be announced. I mean, I do think, like you said, there's some rumors obviously around Disneyland, what's going to happen there. I think we're probably going to hear more about Tomorrowland. I do think there's going to be some new announcements of whatever's next at Disney World. I keep seeing people ask the question in the group was like, oh, well, Universal's building a new park. What's Disney going to do? Are they going to build another park? And I just think the answer is no. Like, I just don't think that they are that worried about that. Like, I don't think it's like, oh, they're building a park, so we got to build a park then. Like, that's not how they operate. I just don't see it happening. So,
and in terms of, from a business and timing standpoint, it's been well known for a while that Universal's building a park.
Yeah.
If Disney turned around and built a park now, like everyone's like, well, Universal's doing something, Disney has to match it. No, they don't, and they don't want to. They absolutely don't want to play that game. Here's the thing that people forget about too. Universal's still behind Disney. If you want to just look at sheer amount of parks and space that Disney has, Disney is so far ahead of Universal just in terms of available land and what they've done with it so far. Okay, great. Universal's opening a third park. Well, Disney still has 4 parks.
Yeah.
Like what Disney
Universal says they have 4 with Volcano Bay, but if you're going to play that game, then Disney.
No, but like then, exactly. So if you're counting water parks, it's 4 versus 6.
Yeah, exactly.
So, there has to be 2 more parks built by Universal before Disney, if we're playing just that game, that's the point where Disney needs to go, oh, well, we need to build another park. But, with all that said, Disney has a massive amount of land, and I know everyone's like, well, they can just build as many parks as they want. Yes, they can, but they're not going to waste their time just building another gate because, Universal's doing the same thing down the road.
Yeah, that's not really how it's done anymore, right? Like there was some one-upmanship that went on during like the Eisner years, right? Like there was a lot of people that said Hollywood Studios was built specifically because to one up Universal before they even got open, right? And that was, it's possible that's true. I mean, that's seems to be what was out there, and that was the thing. But I think we said this on a previous show, right? Like I think we're at a point now where there's not like that kind of competition between them where they're like, oh, you open this, I'm going to open this. It's more of like, hey, whatever brings people to Orlando, great. Like, because, a lot of people are going to go just to Disney. A lot of people are going to go just to Universal. A lot of people are going to go to both. Like, it's how it is, right? And Disney has its audience, and Universal has its audience. And I mean, as we said before, like a new park is not going to be like, oh, I'm only going to Universal now, I'm never going to Disney again. It might mean that, hey, I'm going to go to Universal this time because I want to check out the new park. But, if you're just going for Nintendo, right? Like, Trevor, you're going to travel down and go see the Nintendo land, right? But like, you're not going to plan your entire trip as a Universal trip. You're going to go 1 or 2 days to Universal and then do the rest at Disney, right? Like,
you're right. It's going to be. That's exactly the point. I have very specific things that I want to see. That the challenge that Universal has is that, and Universal and Disney both have this challenge, is that the questions that they're asking is, how do we bring people into the parks? Not do we build something new? And the answer to how do we bring people into the parks is not just which attraction will bring them in. It's what brings them in, what keeps them here, what's interesting to people.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And that's from a whole bunch of different aspects, all things that we've talked about on the show. It's food, it's merchandise, it's shows, it's rides, it's all of those things. And exactly to your point about me is that, Universal, they've grabbed my attention. I like Nintendo. I'm a big gamer. You guys all know that. I do like Harry Potter. I'm not there. That alone was not enough to bring me there. Those two things are enough to bring me there. And the thing is that, like you said, I'm going to go there. I'm going to check it out. I don't expect that I'm going to fall in love with it the same way I did Disney, because these Disney and Nintendo, like these things in my mind, they all exist in different sections of my mind, and they have different, Disney is something that, it has a lot of nostalgia for me. Super Nintendo World won't have that nostalgia, even though I have Nintendo nostalgia. Unless they keep expanding it and sorry, I'm gonna quote Damon here a little bit, or I'm not gonna quote him, but I'm gonna invoke the spirit of Damon a little bit here. It's kind of the same thing as like saying, Disney to Gravity Falls / Amphibia, all those things that Damon talks about that, they're not necessarily mainstream. I'm kind of the same way about Nintendo. Like I get, people like, I like Mario. Mario's good, but I'm really a Metroid fan. Like, you know, if they brought up Metroid stuff, I'd be like, whoa, hold on. Like, let's, I want to see this.
And this isn't a Nintendo land; it's a Mario land. Like it's it's all Mario.
Super Nintendo World is like the Mario universe, which because of how Nintendo structured things, you can have crossovers, and like so there is a you can get Donkey Kong in there. Like they have a Mario Kart thing, which kind of crosses a bunch of different IPs. But yeah, it's primarily Mario with supporting characters, whereas the stuff that I like that, but that's not going to be enough to keep me there. Like there's a lot of other Nintendo IPs that I would love to see that I know I'm not going to see built into a land at any point.
Yeah.
So I will go and see that, but that's not good. Like you said, I'll get my fill of it, and then I'm going to go right back to Disney because, Disney holds a different place in my heart than anything Universal has to offer right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think that's something you could just create either, right? Like there's a certain vibe that you get from both places that's just different, right? And I think it's because they're targeting different audiences, right? Like Disney would never build the Velocicoaster because it's just not what they do, right? Like they don't build stuff like that. Like they don't build super, high intensity rides. I mean, they build high intensity rides, but ones that in a way that everybody can ride. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just a different audience. They're trying to do different things, and that's fine. Like, and I think that's why at this point they both realize that there's, both of them realize that there's kind of a nice balance that they have going. It's the more people in Orlando, the better for all, right? So, and that's why I don't think anybody should have their hopes up that they're going to announce a new park here. I just don't think that that's going to happen. And listen, even if they did, you're talking 5 years at least. Because this, if they were they haven't even broken ground on anything. Like, so, like you're talking minimum of 5 years before we even saw an opening,
People forget, like when was Galaxy's Edge announced? I want to say like 2015 or 2014 or something like that.
Yeah. It took them just 5 years just to build Avatar. I mean, like that took 5 years.
That's exactly it. Like I remember, I watched a YouTube channel, like when they announced Galaxy's Edge, there was a channel that, this was in Disneyland. They were like watching the construction of it because the thing was it was like right outside of Frontierland, and they had a lot of it walled off, so you couldn't see anything, but they would actually go out to the parking structure because the parking structure for Disneyland was like behind, like it could see back towards where Frontierland was. So you could actually see a lot of the construction that was going on. So they were filming, as it was going on. And I remember like I would go and watch it every once in a while. And, and I think they were like recording it every week, but it was like years of them going out there every week, checking it out. And I remember some of the videos are like, okay, from last week to this week, well, they moved that pile of dirt and, there's, I think, they brought in some construction materials, and it's like, yeah, guys, like just because they announced something here, like it's not going to be open next week. Yeah. So, well, to
your point, I looked it up. Galaxy's Edge was announced August 15, 2015, opened August 29, 2019. That's 4 years it took for a land with 2 rides. So you're talking a full park that has transportation needs and be starting from scratch at least 5 years. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly the point. So anything we get out of D23 here, it's going to be long term, and anyone going into it, I can't wait for them to announce the next gate that they're opening.
Not going to happen.
I don't care. I like right now. I really don't care. I'm more interested. The things that we talked about here. They're talking about the Tiana stuff for Splash Mountain. I want to see that. I'm really curious about that because it's an upgrade to an existing ride, but it also gives, we talked about previously, it gives an opportunity for Disney to integrate some new tech into their existing parks. Tomorrowland is another one. Tomorrowland is both in Florida and in Disneyland is in huge need of some revamping. And again, if this, and it stands to turn into a similar exercise to what happened with Galaxy's Edge, where, it's months and months of construction and all that. But I'm more interested in those kinds of things because, just building something new and not fixing up what's there and not improving what's there. This goes back to, what keeps me coming to Disneyland or Disney World, right? Is, if they need to put some love into the existing areas, it's not always about just building something new.
Well, and that was what I believe it was Bob Chapek said at the time, like years and years ago. It might have been somebody else running the parks, but they had said, we're not focused on building another park. We're focused on adding to and improving what we have already. Right. And that makes sense from a business perspective, but it also makes sense. Like you said, you want to update those things, right? You want those things to be better. And I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Tomorrowland overhauls for both sides of the coast, right? Like I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it for both parks. Because, I do think that they need to do something with Tomorrowland, and, with Tron coming up, I mean, that's a good announcement. And I actually do think, by the way, at D23, we are going to get a Tron, open date. They're just too close to being done. And I feel like that's a big announcement they can make at D23. So I just get that feeling that we're going to get the date.
I'm so hopeful that it's before November 5th.
Yeah, I will see. But by the way, so I was also I was looking back at that article too. So, just to point this out, right? So Galaxy's Edge was announced in August. They didn't even start construction until April. So there's a whole 8 months until they started construction after they announced it. So like this stuff just takes time and billions of dollars. And they're not going to do it. Like they're just not going to do it. So stop hoping for the next gate. It's not going to happen. They're going to keep adding on to the parks. And like I said, I do expect announcements, and I will be watching this. I do expect, many announcements of, here's what's next. Here's what we're going to build. But also remember too, like, they've announced stuff at D23 many times that they've later had to cancel, and remember there was a theater coming to Magic Kingdom. They were going to build a new theater. What happened to that? That got canceled, disappeared. The Mary Poppins section, that's on hold. Hopefully we'll hear some things some updates on things that were previously announced that maybe are coming back into the mix now that Disney's recovering from the pandemic and is in a better place, and they can start reinvesting in the parks and investing in new things. But they're not going to do it because Universal is doing it.
Yeah. And I said this earlier. So the whole point of this is these are roadmaps. So for anyone that doesn't, do roadmaps, the whole point of a roadmap is you plan out what you're going to do over a period of time. But exactly to your point, Tom, roadmaps change all the time. Like anything that we see announced,
it's written in pencil.
Yeah, it's it's them just saying, hey, this is what we have planned, and exactly like you said, sometimes the plans, monkey wrenches come in, they can't do it for whatever reason, or they just shift gears and decide to focus on something else. So, I'll be happy to see what comes out of this. And the things that are closer, like the Tiana stuff, that's becoming real. Like it's closer to reality now. So, obviously those kinds of things will happen, but something where they're like, in the next 5 years, we're going to do this. Let's revisit that again in 2 years and see where it actually is.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't announce. I mean, I guess I'd be a little shocked if they announce nothing new for Disney World, right? Because like at this point, we know all the stuff that's coming, right? Like we know that they're building, the whole middle part of Epcot is ripped up, right? Like we know what they're doing there. We know they're building Tron, but outside of that, we don't know anything else, right? Like there's still some question marks even for Epcot of what that's going to look like. I mean, they recently re-announced kind of like what that's going to be now, but
no, I mean, there's that, but there was that whole other pavilion that we haven't heard anything about. Yeah. Maybe they'll give an update on that, because there was just a permit filed for that. We didn't really talk about this, but there was a permit filed for the Play Pavilion. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get an update on that. You're right. Maybe we'll hear more about it. We'll have to see. It's going to be an interesting panel, but I just don't want people to go in with the high expectations of New Park or Fifth Gate. I just think the better expectation is what's going to be new at the parks. What do they plan to do in the future? Like that's what I think we're going to get. But I don't know what that's going to look like. I really don't. I mean, there's some rumors out there, but
every time they do these at D23, we always get a lot of stuff that we did not see coming, right? So a lot of stuff that's just, out of nowhere. There were no rumors for that, Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that I would caution everyone to be aware of, speaking of rumors, is, we're obviously speculating here ourselves,
sure,
which
of course
we do, but you will find leading up to this kind of thing, there is certain places, and we know some of them that will post rumor articles, and they'll post, Bob's going to announce this thing at, we got an inside source that it's going to be announced at D23. And I would just, it's kind of like April Fool's Day, I guess, any announcements the days before D23, I would take with a heavy grain of salt.
Oh, for sure.
Because, there will be a lot of rumors and speculation and whatnot that comes out of it. We love to wildly speculate, but I also do like to keep myself somewhat grounded.
Yeah, sure.
In terms of, like you're saying, Tom, don't expect the world. Don't expect they're going to just suddenly produce a new park and, answer every IP dream that we've ever had. Right. Like it's
not going to happen.
That's not what D23 is about.
Yeah. I just, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Yeah. But I just, like you said, I just don't want people to have these crazy expectations of what it's going to be. Just because Universal is building another park doesn't mean that Disney needs to counter with another park. They just don't. They just don't, and they won't. So, they may eventually build another park, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, I think Disney they have their own plan and timelines for this stuff, and like you said, they're more interested right now in. There's no point in building a new park if the rest of the parks are beaten up and run down.
Yeah, sure. Exactly.
Because what'll happen there is it'll create a massive imbalance, which they don't want either. Because you'll have everybody wanting to hit up this new park and the rest of the parks will be empty.
Yeah. They got to do a lot of stuff at once. Yeah.
Yeah. So they want to make sure that the rest of the parks are in a good place and are, relatively busy themselves. And, force people to make choices because, it's not Disney doesn't want to be in the same boat that, Universal is. They learned that lesson when Universal opened that Hagrid coaster, right? That, all you heard about for the first little while was, 8-hour waits for a ride.
Yeah.
Right. And, it would be even worse if they opened a new gate. It's, people are waiting to get in or, it's at capacity, multiple days in a row. And Disney doesn't operate like that anymore. Like that they want, like, that's why we have all of the virtual queue stuff and the reservations and everything is, Disney wants to, they want people in the parks, but they want them balanced between the parks. They don't want it heavy to one side or the other. So yeah, it's one of those things that, I think whatever comes out of D23, it's for the next little while, it's going to be a lot of improvement projects. I'm expecting some new ride announcements. I'm not expecting any, I can't see them building a new land even for the next little while.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I mean, because I don't even know where they go next, right? Like, I mean, maybe they do, right? But they can't do anything with Marvel. Like, we know this, right? Like, they basically have done all they can do with Marvel at Disney World. Now, there's lots more they can do at Disneyland, but,
So here's something interesting about that. I saw a thing where, so X-Men is a Marvel IP that for a long time has been owned by Sony. And so this applies to the movies though. So I'm kind of, I'm going to speculation.
X-Men was Fox.
Or sorry. Yeah.
That's where they bought Fox. Yeah.
Yeah. So all the rights or so the agreements that they had for the actors for X-Men, those have all been transferred to Disney now. So meaning that Disney can, or they can wrap the X-Men into, or like they're working to wrap X-Men into the larger Marvel universe now, right? The Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I think that's just the movies, though. I don't think they can do
correct
theme parks still. Yeah,
but this is the thing, is that, you know, if they're doing that on the movie side, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney is doing some positioning on the theme park side as well, because, you know, they don't you know, we know this about Disney, you know, they don't factor in, you know, we're just going to create a movie and that's it. You know, they want to have the merchandise tie-ins, they want to have the theme park tie-ins, they want to do all of that stuff. I wouldn't be, the fact that there has been some focus on that, I wouldn't be surprised if they're, you know, the deal right now with Universal around, you know, those certain Marvel IPs, I'm sure that they can reach a negotiation with, and they may even find a way that they can do it. You know, they can do certain Marvel stuff on the East Coast. And again, like, because the thing is right now it's Spider-Man and the X-Men that show up at Universal, right?
I think we got Hulk too, right? Is Hulk still there?
Is it?
I think so.
I don't remember because I don't go there, or I haven't been there in way too long. But they, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney, like I said, this is part of the whole like housekeeping and them trying to, you know, get things better for what they have right now, is that if they manage to, you know, if they've got the cinematic stuff, they work in the theme park rights, that they can start, you know, X-Men and stuff can start showing up in Disney parks. I wouldn't be surprised if they, like, the next thing could actually be like an Avengers campus on the East Coast.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta figure that out, right? Like, so that's the big thing is, but interestingly enough, like at this point, Disney owns like a good amount of the IP that's within Universal, right? Like they own all the Marvel stuff. They own, you know, The Simpsons, which is a part of Universal, right? Like there's a couple things that are in Universal. Like, I don't know if they could, you know, figure out some sort of agreement. I would think at some point that they do really want to, that they do want to get that, you know, fixed. Like they want to get those rights back at some point. But I don't know. We're going to have to see. I mean, who knows? Yeah.
You just sparked a crazy thought in my head. Maybe Disney
for Marvel.
Well, no, maybe Disney doesn't need to compete with Universal, because if they eventually own Universal, that just becomes new parks.
Well, apparently they had I guess they had a chance to buy the parks at one point, I think, and then chose not to. But yeah, it's yeah.
Just a funny thought is, you know, it's like, oh yeah,
imagine that,
yeah, they just eventually become an entity that controls both, and then it becomes like, what was it? So in Canada, for any of our Canadian listeners, there used to be an electronics store called Future Shop, and so they were like Best Buy, right?
Yeah.
And so for the longest time we had that, and then Best Buy started showing up in Canada, and we're like, okay, cool, you know, we have some competition there. But then what eventually happened was Best Buy actually bought Future Shop, so you had there was a point where there was Future Shops next to Best Buys. And for those that were aware of it, it was like, well, you know, you're literally just competing with yourself across the street. Like, you know, this is stupid. Right. And Future Shop eventually closed down, or like all the locations closed down, and now there's just Best Buy. But, yeah, I mean, it would be funny, but also like it would be the same kind of thing if like Disney eventually got to the point where they own Universal. And it's like, well, you're just competing with yourself, right? But
yeah,
I don't know.
That would be an interesting thing if it ever happened. But I think they had a chance to do it. I think it would be hard for them to do now because they're, you know, Universal has grown so much. It would be pretty high price. But then again, they paid $80 billion for Fox, and that was just for content, you know. So
yeah,
who knows? Maybe they would be up for that if the price was right? But yeah, I mean, you know, we're going to have to see. I mean, all this is just us talking about what's going to happen at D23, right? But like, we really don't know. We really don't know what that's going to look like. We don't know how that's going to shake out. So yeah, we're gonna have to see. I'm interested. I'm excited to watch it. I always like watching these events. And you know, you can watch a live stream of it. So that's what I'm going to do. But should be very interesting. So
yeah, and let's bring the focus back, I guess. I'm going to segue this, talking about upcoming things. There was some concept art posted for the Journey of Water attraction at Epcot. So we'll have this posted on the, when this episode goes live. And so this is from Zach Ridley's Instagram, as Tom loves finding everything on Zach Ridley's Instagram.
He's like the only one that posts stuff anymore. So
yeah,
he's
like
the lead guy that communicates from Imagineering at this point. So
yeah. So he posted the picture is it looks, or it's explaining the water cycle. So that's the whole point of the water the Moana water attraction, is that they're actually trying to, people have said, there's too much IP, but it's funny because this is kind of going back to edutainment.
This is classic Epcot to me, right? Like this
So they're explaining how, water moves through, evaporating, going up into the clouds, rain, coming down through oceans, rivers, the full water cycle that exists on Earth. But the cool thing is the way it's done is in the same design as like Moana, and like how Maui's tattoo is animated. I think that's the best way I can describe it. It's
exactly.
It's that, it's that Polynesian artwork that they're using, which, this is very cool.
Yeah, I mean, and this is, to be clear, right? It's not concept art of the actual attraction, right? It's and the way that Zach Ridley describes it, he said the image is a preview of the graphic style that will be used throughout the attraction, and I think that's a great way to describe what this is, right? Like it's the style that they're going for, and to me, like you said, this is classic Epcot. This is edutainment, right? This is teaching people about, and he actually even says this in his post, right? Like he says, our team created many original pieces that focus on the dynamic movement of water as it travels around the experience. Graphics like these will guide guests through the cycle of water in fun and engaging ways to tell the story of the vital link we share with water across the planet, and inspire the important role we all share in preserving this life-giving and life-sustaining precious resource. Like that is so Epcot right there. To me, even though they're throwing a little bit of IP in here, and I've said this all along, like I don't think it's overtly Moana. I think it's just they're styling it Moana in like that Moana kind of, like they said, visual language, right? Like graphic style. Like that's kind of how it is. But the attraction itself is very Epcot and not, just a Moana attraction.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought this was anything different, because it's called Journey of Water. So we should have realized, I guess, that it was about the water cycle. But now we know more.
Here's the funny thing is, everyone's saying, slapping IPs on stuff is bad. Well, actually, IPs are a good way to get people's attention and to get people in the door. And this is exactly it. We've been focused so long talking about, it's the Moana attraction. It's, we were focused on, what's this going to look like from, the Moana movie. But they're using that as a gateway into conveying a larger message. And I think, this is exactly what we want in Epcot is, they start with, hey kids, Moana, by the way, here's how we preserve, the water cycle on our planet. This is how that should be done.
I agree. I totally agree. I'm pretty psyched for this. I think this is going to be cool. And I think it's going to be a really neat, just the way they've redone the whole entrance of Epcot, the idea of like just kind of walking over to this and walking through this as you walk through the park is so great. And just so, like I said, so perfectly Epcot. I really like that this is the thing that they're doing. And I mean, I've liked the things that the changes that they've made in Epcot so far. I know not everybody loves Connections and Creation Shot. Like I know not everybody likes those two, the design of them. I think that they are very Epcot, but like
you and I walked through them, and sorry, anybody that disagrees, they're awesome. I think it's the perfect update to Epcot.
Yeah, like I get like people were calling it like like really like I see. I don't think it was plain at all. I just thought it was
there was
there was a lot of detail. It was just it wasn't like, if you're going to compare it to what Mouse Gears was, then sure, like, because Mouse Gears was cartoony and loud, and like this is very, a lot more subtle, but go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I think there's a bit of rose colored glasses around Mouse Gears.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course.
And I've had this conversation with my wife too, because, she liked Mouse Gears, but I told her, I said, I think you will actually like, the creation shop better than Mouse Gears, because Mouse Gears honestly was a lot of shiny fiberglass is what it was at the end of the day. There was a lot of things in there that didn't really make like so they took time to do like a molded fiberglass like Mickey and stuff like that. You still got a lot of that visual stuff to it, but it's a lot more comfortable shop. I found like
it's much more open. It's much more open,
like Mouse Gears. I felt was a little too it was a little too much noise and like actual noise and visual noise.
Yeah.
Whereas, but again, I think people have different tolerances for that. I think Creation Shop is they found that good balance of sorry, but when I'm at Disney, I'm getting bombarded all day with things like visual noise and all that kind of stuff. If I'm shopping, I don't need to keep like getting hit in the face with like, here's a big like Mickey sculpture, and here's like, I'm looking for merchandise. I don't distract me.
Yeah.
I agree. Is the way I say it.
I get that. Yeah. And I mean, I thought Connections was nice too. There was a lot of really cool details. There was some really cool murals that were in there. I mean, yeah, it was super modern, but it's Epcot. Like,
I mean, yeah, and the logos, the design work for on the ground, like all that. Yeah, there's
a lot of cool.
There was
stuff
just there's just as much that went into it. There's just not. It's not what people were used to is the biggest thing.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. All right. So do we want to talk about the deli? Last thing on the list here.
Yes. Speaking of places changing, let's move over to the BoardWalk Deli.
Another good transition.
I'm trying.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talked about the BoardWalk Deli a few episodes ago when they announced it, but now we're seeing some pictures of some food because this place is going to open pretty quickly. And, first of all, they got a breakfast sandwich here that looks pretty fantastic. I mean, they've mentioned a couple things here, an everything bagel sandwich. This is what I expect out of a deli: a bagel breakfast sandwich, bacon, egg, and cheese. Like that's all you need, right? Like, and then there's this I don't even know what this sandwich is right here. It's like it looks like a bacon, egg, and cheese on like the top one there, but
the plant-based ciabatta sandwich.
Is that a plant-based
Florentine
one? Interesting.
Yeah.
That looks good though,
egg
man.
Florentine, plant-based cheese, tomato jam, and arugula. Yeah, it looks. Yeah, you're right. It looks really good.
Yeah, it looks delicious. I mean, the bread at this place looks fantastic. And if you're gonna have a deli, you got to have the bread, right? Like the bread is the most important part. So, Damon talked before about the muffaletta sandwich, which is not really a Northeastern thing, but I'll allow it. It's fine. But then you have an Italian sub. Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't even know what that is. So
muffaletta, yeah, you just Google it. It's like I mean, it has everything in here. It's talking about.
I don't even know how to spell that.
Yeah, it usually has like an olive tapenade thing on it, and like I don't know. It's not my favorite kind of sandwich, but
okay.
But like some of the stuff they have on here, I mean, this is the perfect like lunch place if you're just looking to grab something, right? So like you got a classic Italian sub, which is great.
Warm pastrami Reuben.
Yeah, so the pastrami Reuben is like a classic of New York and New Jersey delis, of the Northeastern delis. Yeah. So and they look pretty stacked. I mean, if they're really going to look like this in real life, these are pretty stacked sandwiches. Which is good because if you're going to do a deli sandwich, you gotta have a lot of the pastrami on there. Like that's an important part. It's got to be stacked pretty high.
You don't cheap out on it. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep, you can't cheap out on it. You got to have it up there. Now, that's not my favorite really. I'm not a big fan of pastrami, but a lot of people love that stuff. They got a roasted chicken sandwich. They got the classic grilled cheese. I know Damon doesn't like cannolis as an Italian, which is crazy to me, but hand-filled filled to order cannolis, heck yeah. Like that's awesome. I love that I can order cannoli and they fill it right there. Like you can't get any fresher than that, right? So
again, never. Sorry, you're speaking a different language than me.
You don't do cannolis? No cannolis? Come on.
I don't. Well, I don't know where to find this stuff around here.
Oh man.
Wait,
so have you ever had a cannoli, or just are you aware of cannolis existing?
I'm aware of cannolis. I don't think I've ever had one. I know. I'm trying to think. I think I've seen them like just actually. Yeah, I've probably seen them at Disney.
Yeah.
At various points, but I've never like stopped to like have a cannoli.
All right, you need to stop and have one. They're delicious.
All right.
So, I mean, they are filled with a lot of dairy-based products, so that is an issue. But
and I think that's part of it is that anytime I've seen them, it's like, nah, I don't need a bunch of cream or whatever it is. Yeah.
But dude, so New Jersey, they're even calling it New Jersey crumb cake. We always call this coffee cake, right? So like, now that's in that dessert. You know, the next picture below the cannolis, the upper left hand corner, that is coffee cake. I don't know if that is a thing that is everywhere. I assume it is, but oh man, it's one of my favorite things. It's so good.
I feel like we do get coffee cake around here, but I feel like it's probably not the same as what you're talking about. Cause
maybe.
Yeah, you're right. I think the problem is that some of these things are very regional. Yeah, and if Disney can capture the right region, it's I'm sure it's going to be delicious.
And that's why this is perfect for the BoardWalk, because the BoardWalk is based on a New Jersey and on Atlantic City BoardWalk, right? So like this is a thing you would find in that area, right? So good. Yeah. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I keep getting drawn to these cookies with the rainbow sprinkles that just look ridiculous as well.
those look good. This 50th anniversary cupcake actually looks really good too.
Yeah.
That I don't know what's in it, but it looks really good. It just says the 50th anniversary celebration cupcake. But then there's brownie cheesecake, brownies, like cookies and cream cupcake. I mean, this place is just going to be filled with delicious baked goods and sandwiches, which is all the things I want to eat in my life. So like this is perfect for me. I love this idea. And I'm so glad they're doing this. I think it's a perfect addition to the BoardWalk. Exactly what you want there, and some really great baked goods. I mean, you're gonna have to, Trevor. You're gonna have to have some crumb cake. You're gonna have to have some cannolis. You're really gonna have to.
I'll convince the family we need to stop over there once.
Over. Yeah.
This sounds like a good spend a morning or whatever at Hollywood Studios, and then swing over to BoardWalk and eat.
Yeah.
That might be a good plan.
Agreed. So I'm excited for this. So, but that's all we got this week. We should wrap this up.
Right.
I thought this was going to be like an hour episode, and of course it never is. So,
well, I think because we kind of went down that rabbit hole about D23 and stuff. So yeah, I think for anyone listening, we're itching for news just as much as anybody else, and yeah, I think we just have to be patient here for it's about a month out, and we'll just have to wait and see what comes from D23. So
yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll get little dribs and drabs here before we get there of some interesting stuff, but until then, the big stuff is going to be all D23. So
yeah. So all right. So I guess to start wrapping it up, I'll start by mentioning that you can always find us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. Keep those emails coming. We love hearing from you guys, and we love answering your questions and just talking to you guys. It's great. We have such a good community around this podcast now. In that same vein, you can always follow us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast, and you can join the Facebook group Welcome Home Disney Waitlist. I know we've had a couple of listeners that have joined that listened to us for a long time and finally decided to pull the trigger and get in the group, and we really appreciate that. And but that group is there for you guys. It's it's for people to have conversations and to share things with one another and with us. We love talking back and forth with you guys and keeping it respectful. Of course, I'm still impressed that for as big as our group is, there's not the drama that you see in so many other groups. So it's pretty awesome. Also on other socials, you can always follow us on YouTube as Welcome Home Podcast and Instagram as Welcome Home Pics for any times we're in the park. You'll get those, when we post pictures and live videos and stuff, you'll be able to see that stuff. And then, YouTube is also good. Like, we do need to start talking about when we're going to do our next live show, which I'm guessing will be close to Halloween, and it's coming faster than we think. So
that's a valid point.
Yeah, we'll think about that. But yeah, more on that later. If you want to support the podcast, go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and, please check out our merchandise. Anything from the store, it helps just keep the podcast going. And, we've got mugs and t-shirts and stuff like that. If you want something a little different, you can go to patreon.com and check out our different, levels of support on there that come with exclusive merchandise at Patreon. And they also give you access to the Discord server, which is yet another way that we talk with some of our listeners. If you do happen to like Discord, you can come join us on there. And also just as a side note, the shirt is still coming along that we've been talking about. We're still in the design phase, but as we get closer, we'll obviously give you guys details on when it's going to be available and all that kind of stuff. So, just keep an eye out for that. Last but not least, if you're listening, whether it's on Spotify or iTunes, we would really appreciate a 5-star review. We just, 5 stars looks nice. Going to be honest, just that's all there is to it.
It does.
But no, actually, it's also that, it helps more people find the podcast as well. Because, I'm sure there's lots of people that have stumbled onto the podcast. And if you review it or leave a rating, that helps more people find it the same way you did. Do we have any interesting iTunes reviews for this week, Tom?
We do, although I'm a bit confused. I'm not going to lie. And I'm going to tell you why in a second, okay?
All right.
Our most recent review is from another Bob Gurr. Now, I don't know if this is the Bob Gurr from last week's show who gave us a 1-star review and they decided to change the review and the other one is just still sitting there. But Bob Gurr chimes in again. It says, informative. Appreciate the weekly insights into the happenings across all things Disney. 5 stars. So thanks, other Bob Gurr. I don't know what's going on with Bob Gurr.
I think we have a multiverse problem here.
Yeah, it does feel very strange to me.
Multiple Bob Gurrs. There's.
It's interesting though. I'm reading this through like our third party that we use that aggregates all these things. When I go onto actual iTunes, there's only one Bob Gurr. So maybe the other one, I don't know. Maybe the other review he changed it to a 5 or. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. Or the other one got deleted somehow. I don't know. All I know is that there are 2 reviews that are showing up, 2 from Bob Gurr. One saying 5 stars, I like it. One saying 1 star, and it's lame. So I don't know. But
I'm firmly blaming it on multiverse.
That's obviously what it is. That's what it has to be. So
we have a problem there, and somebody needs to solve that.
Yeah, somebody needs to.
Anyways,
yeah.
If anybody's got any ties to a Nexus being, would be appreciated.
Or maybe Bob Gurr just wants some attention. I don't know. Maybe he's feeling not feeling love. He just wants to be loved. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, just about any podcast app out there. You can find us. Just search for Welcome Home. Look for the one that's Disney, the one that has the castle in it. Just a reminder to our listeners: Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions we express on the show are our own. So please consult a DVC representative or Disney cast member for more information about anything we talked about today. Huge thank you to our sponsor, Monera Financial, for sponsoring this episode, and of course, World of DVC for being our continued sponsor and supporter. So please check them out for anything DVC. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no